tell you what, guys. I mean, it seemed as though after 4 weeks into the season, it just seemed as though Buffalo was riding high. I mean, after that dud against the Jets for 3 games, they were playing like gangbusters. They were playing like the Super Bowl contenders that everybody expected them to be. The last 3 games against teams they should have beaten easily. What the heck has happened? Just seemed as though the train that Buffalo was riding is just derailed. They go over to England. I mean, of course, I almost made the excuse, hey, it was because of logistics, that the Jaguars had been there for 10 days. Buffalo had been there for only a couple, and maybe the jet lag had affected them. But something is really off now with these Bills. I mean, they lose to Jacksonville. They go up against the Giants, a team they should have handled easily, nearly lose. And I mean, against New England, again, they should have easily beaten these Patriots. Mac Jones has regressed every year he's been in the NFL. But you know what Buffalo did? They made Mac Jones look like Tom Brady. And I mean, the mistakes, the slow starts. And I mean, when you get these slow starts, you put yourself in a hole. And a lot of times, you get that hole, you can't climb out of it. That's not the way to play, Buffalo. I mean, who is doing this thinking? I mean, it's easy to blame Dorsey. It's easy to blame McDermott. Heck, it could be a whole lot of things. And I mean, Dorsey, he's definitely come under fire. And I mean, McDermott, the way you call on the defense, allowing New England, a team that has hardly had a lot of offense, to move for almost 400 yards of offense. And I mean, hey, Allen, you're aggressing when you're not running. Maybe we should have you run a little more. Of course, now we're worried about your shoulder. Yeah, a couple of those throws, your mechanics looked a little off. And I know they're trying to make you run less, but has that regressed your game? I don't know. And of course now Dawson Knox, who appears now to be stealing a paycheck the way he's playing, he's going to be out with an injured wrist. And I mean, it's going to take a little time, but Dalton Kincaid, he's starting to come along. He started to perform a little bit. Now's the time for him to step up and show why we made him the number 1 pick this year. A lot of things have kind of gone wrong. And even Bass, he's only made 1 of his last 4 field goals. I don't know what happened, Buffalo. Did you suddenly think, hey, we're badasses? We don't really have to go in and show everything. You know, when you get overconfident like that, that's when things happen. Of course, one other thing is, hey, maybe losing all those defensive starters, it's finally starting to show up. And now, I mean, hey, maybe Oliver may be back. But I mean, hey, it's time for the rest of them to step up. Because a lot of them, Settle, Ford, all of them, they aren't stepping up. Von Miller's been mostly invisible since he came back. It's time for the defense to step up. It's time for Josh Allen to stop making mistakes and getting off to these slow starts. It's time to start cooking again, Buffalo. Because you know what? This 3-game that you're on, it just seems season's almost ready to come off the rails. And I mean, heck, we got to put you back on track. Because it's a short week this week. Tampa Bay comes into Orchard Park. Tampa Bay is no slouch in a lot of things. But come on, guys. Where were the badasses that we were after 4 weeks? Where were the badasses the last 3 games? We're now looking like Gomer Pyle instead of the Incredible Hulk. And I mean, I don't want to see people start going, Golly, we want to play? Yeah, Gomer Pyle. That's why I gotta start calling Josh Allen. That's why I gotta start calling a lot of these guys. Quit playing like Gomer Pyle and play like the Incredible Hulk. We gotta get back on track, Buffalo, or else the season's gonna go. We don't need that. We're expecting a lot. And maybe if that happens, guess what, McDermott? And then I know you're not related to me. You're gonna go. Well, I'm gonna go for my anger to hopefully some looking ahead. Yeah, the Orange football team didn't play this last week, and it was a much needed bye, because they needed time to lick their wounds. They needed time to evaluate themselves, especially after two horrendous performances against North Carolina and against Florida State. And guess what? North Carolina loses to what I thought was a lowly Virginia team. Guess, I mean, that's the way college football is. Heck, look at what Georgia Tech did a few weeks ago against Miami. And again, Georgia Tech regressed against Boston College. And of course, we play those two opponents coming up. But the second half of the season starts this Thursday night. You got to go down to Blacksburg to play Virginia Tech. And I mean, all 5 of the games that the Orange closed the season with are winnable. Virginia Tech, if we can get back on track a little bit, we should be able to beat them. Then we should be able to beat Boston College. Then we should be able to beat Pitt. Then Georgia Tech, and to close the season, Wake Forest. All 5 of them are winnable if we can play up to what we can. But I mean, there's one there saying, hey, we probably might lose 3 of the 5. And I mean, finish at 6-6. I don't want to go for 6-6. I want to be 9-3 and go to a bowl game. I mean, yeah, the offense needs work. But I mean, Syracuse and Garrett Schrader hopefully can get things turned around. Maybe this week they worked on mechanics, especially with the wide receivers. It's going to be an interesting last half of the season, Syracuse football fans. We'll see what happens, and we'll see if we can go bowling. And I don't mean with a ball down the alley. Of course, that season is going to be starting for the high schools in about a month. And speaking of the high schools, yeah, it is the rivalry of Seneca County back. It's going to be homecoming for Mynderse. And I mean, I'm going to say this. Lord, it's a miracle! Mynderse can actually score, and Mynderse can actually win. Yes, they did win, 28-20. Lord help us, it's a miracle. Maybe you listened to me last week, because yeah, I was breathing fire, and with good reason. And now, I mean, it's our old rivals. The rivalry's back. Mynderse and Waterloo. It's going to be this Friday night at Brock Field, and expect a capacity crowd. As you know how it is whenever these two old rivals meet. And I mean, hopefully, Mynderse can kind of build off of this. But I'd also like to see Waterloo give a good performance too, to end the first season under Scott Maloney. You know, yeah, I mean, it might not have gone the way Scott planned. But I mean, Waterloo, it's something you can build on. Mynderse, hopefully last week's win is something you can build on. And remember what I said. Don't let people push you around, because that's the way you've been playing. I mean, it's time you got to show what beast you can be, because Mynderse has a great tradition when it comes to football. Now I want to see you build off of that. And Waterloo, I want to see you build off of this season. Let's hope for a great old-fashioned game. But please, to all the fans, to any students, no fighting. That was a big thing in the past for this rivalry, and it kind of tarnished it at times. But you know, it's great to see you back doing this. And I mean, when homecoming happens for the Minders, I mean, I hope all the guys look nice and sharp with their suits. But please, wear some appropriate shoes. You don't need to wear sneakers when you got a suit and a tie on. And I mean, the girls, you'll look great in your dresses. I mean, you do all that, and I mean, you get all dolled up, but sometimes some of you pair your dresses with sneakers. What? You know, you gotta wear the appropriate shoes to both the girls and the boys. And the minor students, have a good time, but don't overdo it. I want to see you all go home. I want to see us have a good homecoming, and let's have a good game. And last but not least, it was Monroe Madness, plus also a little thing the week before in the Dome for the Syracuse basketball team. You kind of look like you're going to be better than everybody says. Adrian Autry seems to have the heartbeat of this team as he begins his first year as Syracuse's head coach. Judah Mintz is going to be the leader. Benny Williams looks like he's going to be a force. Plus, the center there, they say he isn't stopping growing. Hey, he believes he could be 7'5", 7'6". He already is the tallest player Syracuse has ever had in uniform. But if he could get up to 7'5", 7'6", he could be a real force around the basket. And Kyan Anthony, please come to Syracuse. That was a great photo with your father, legendary Carmelo Anthony, and your mother, Lala, all looking good in orange. But I just want to say one thing to Lala. Faux leather leggings, please. That's all I got to say this week.